Rick, it's good to see you again. It's been a couple years since we last had the Bears here in Tuscaloosa, but how's everything going for you guys?
Doing good, Roger. Again, good to see you as well. I think this will be our third trip to Tuscaloosa. It's always a fun time when we make the trip over. I think I've shared with you in the past. I lived in the state of Alabama for 8 years, many years ago. Got a lot of friends over there, and we always look forward to coming to Tuscaloosa to play you guys.
Well, we'll look forward to it. And this year, taking on a Mercer team that seems to be, Rick, really riding high with a 9-1 record, 6-1 in the SoCon. Just tell us about the journey this team's been on throughout the year.
Well, to set the stage, Roger, I think it starts with the head coach, Mike Jacobs, come in as our first-year head coach, came to us from Lenore Ryan. Interestingly, as the season began, of the top coaches percentage-wise in winning, Kalen DeBoer was number one. Mike Jacobs was number six. So he came to us with a winning percentage. He was in college an offensive lineman at Ohio State. He has brought a leadership that has the team bought in and really has talked a lot about complementary football. And by that, the offense, the defense, special teams, whatever it takes to provide the win on any particular game. We knew coming into the season, we had a lot of veteran defensive players back. Offensively, we didn't really know. We needed a new quarterback, running backs, receivers. The defense has really stepped up, Roger. They have played tremendously. They got their first shutout last week, but that was the fifth time they have held an opponent to 7 points or less. In the LCS statistics, they're first in like six categories, including third down defense, interceptions, and those kind of key categories. The special teams in this complementary football mode have stepped up. We blocked punts for touchdowns. We actually have found ways to score on days when maybe the offense had not given us a chance to take the lead. We've had excellent special teams play. Braden Smith, our punt returner and kick returner, has had several punts for touchdowns. We've had some clutch field goals by our kickers. Our kicking game has held up. But when the day is done, I think other than the Sanford game, this team has just found a way to get the job done, whether it was the defense shutting out or shutting down the other team, offense finding a way. So they just bought into that concept of what does it take to win. It may not be the same thing every week. It may not be 10 on a style look at how pretty it is, but find a way. And like I said, with the exception of the Sanford game, which started off very unusual, they've done that week by week.
Is there a game you can kind of point to and say, okay, you knew that this was going to be a special team maybe early in the season, or what would be maybe the most complete game this group has
I
played
think
so
no
far this
doubt
year?
Chattanooga, Roger. Chattanooga was by far picked by everyone to win the league this year. Now, they had a couple of tough opening opponents, including Tennessee and a loss at Georgia State. So we played them early. That was actually our first conference game, September 14th, but we played well in that game. And I think early in the season, the defense only allowed them 3 points. When you're coming off of your opening conference game, when you defeat the team that was picked to win the league, that gives you a tremendous amount of confidence. The defense realized, hey, we might be pretty good. It can stop people. And then from that, it just kind of snowballed from that week by week. What does it take to get the job done today?
It's been good to see. And then offensively, you mentioned some good playmakers. Who are some of the key players our fans should keep an eye out for coming up on Saturday?
Well, of course, I think everyone knows the DJ Smith, who started the season at quarterback, has had injuries twice that has taken him out of games. So Whit Neubauer is a freshman. He's a big kid, 6'6", real strong arm, gets better week by week. Dwayne McGee is a running back who came to Mercer from Lenore Ryan with Coach Jacobs. He's had an outstanding season. A receiver that interestingly also came from Lenore Ryan, Keelan Parsons, is our leading receiver. But Braden Smith has been extremely good in all aspects of the game. He's leading the league in all-purpose yardage, an excellent slot receiver, a great punt returner, kick returner. So those are the primary guys offensively. And again, we've had a very good kicking game. Reese Griffith has been clutch for us. Our punter, John McConnell, I think is as good as there is in the FCS. So those are the kind of components on the offensive side of the ball and kicking game.
How about on defense?
Defense is where we knew coming into the season it was going to be a lot of fun. Isaac Dowling, our linebacker, and Ken Stanley, another linebacker, are now the leading tacklers career-wise for Mercer. Braden Manley up front leads the Southern Conference in tackles for losses. The secondary, well, they've been tremendous, Roger. It's hard to believe that in all of the great players in FCS, Mercer has two guys who are tied with 6 interceptions for the season. As a team, Mercer leads the nation in interceptions, but TJ Moore and Miles Redding have been spectacular in the secondary. So that's kind of the top of the ladder, so to speak, of the guys that really have helped us week by week.
What have you enjoyed most about getting to know your head coach, Mike Jacobs, and the approach he's had? And again, great success already, a conference champion in year one.
Well, as announcers, we're always looking as we interview a coach for any game. We're always looking for that one thing. What's the key to this week's game? Well, with Coach, he kind of after the second week, he kind of looked at me and said, "Rick, run the ball, stop the run. Rick, protect the football, take away the football." So he's a disciplinarian and sticks to the fundamentals, and it's worked. Now he's got great assistant coaches who have provided the specific game plan offensively or defensively. But he's almost reminds me, Roger, of years ago when I was in the National Guard and you go to basic training and you're taught the fundamentals. These are the fundamental things you do. Now, you have the meat and potatoes, you have the dessert later. Well, Mike's a meat and potatoes man and certainly sticks to the structure. And the team bought into that early on. But I have the tremendous respect for Mike, the job he's done. And now having worked with him these 9-10 weeks, I can see why he's won a lot of football games.
And he's hoping to get this team to the playoffs, of course, as the SoCon champions. Alabama's hoping to make it to the college football playoff. Just what could the road ahead look like for Mercer after this?
Well, after this, of course, Furman comes in next week. As you said, the Bears have won outright the championship for our first ever. Now, we just brought football back in 2013, so in 11 years to be looking at a conference championship is amazing for us. Now, we did make the playoffs last year as an at-large and beat Gardner-Webb. Went on to play South Dakota State, who was the reigning national champion and would become the national champion. But this year, again, with a win next week, the Bears win the conference outright. If for some reason Furman were to upset Mercer, the three teams that could possibly tie, Mercer has already defeated. So they definitely own the tiebreaker and very excited. They have beaten 4 ranked teams this year. So they got a good resume and they're really excited for the second season. To be in the playoffs and host a first-round game.
Well, every now and then we get to see you in the basketball postseason, either men's or women's. So what can you tell us about the Bears on the hardwood in the start to the season over the past week?
Well, we're off and running. And, it's interesting, Roger. I do play-by-play for 3 teams here at Mercer, football, men's basketball, and a lot of women's basketball. And all 3 have first-year coaches. So getting to know new people, they're getting to know me. Ryan Ritter is the new men's coach, excellent coach. We've played 2 games, just came off the road, a very tough loss at DePaul, which is a very good basketball team. The women's team is led by Michelle Clark-Hurd, who was a former player and coach at Western Kentucky. And interesting, we played those ladies last night. So we're really excited. In the modern day era, it's hard to get a feel for basketball teams with the transfer portal and all, a lot of new players. This year, it's the added factor of having the new head coaches, but we're really excited. They're quality people. In the short time I've known them, I really like them a lot. I think the future is very bright for both men's and women's basketball.
That certainly sounds good. Well, Rick Kaminer, we look forward to having you and the crew in Tuscaloosa this weekend. Just safe travels, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Roger. Always a pleasure.